the reality is that politics are kind of the exact opposite of this.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets.
That's the name of the game. Find or create a crisis and exploit the living hell out of it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where money comes from.
What if that is true? A powerful organization aiming to take complete control over money and you. What if Iman is right and we're doomed? Is there an escape he didn't mention? So I did a little digging. I think I found the way. When I was watching Iman's series, one thought was galloping around in my head. Is that the reality we're living in? And after digging some more, I can confidently say the reality is even worse than Iman told you. Iman puts a lot of emphasis on CBDCs, aka central bank digital currencies, saying that CBDC is a new way to control wealth and people, wrapped in a wrapper of convenience and stability, presented to people like a next step of the money evolution. The integration of CBDCs into existing financial systems will provide governments with an unprecedented level of control over people's financial lives. Governments will be able to track every single transaction in real time from the moment money is earned to the moment it is spent. This level of surveillance represents a profound threat to financial privacy and freedom. Citizens will no longer have the ability to conduct transactions anonymously, and every aspect of their financial lives will be subject to government scrutiny. Ultimately, that will make people the resource used and abused for their personal gains. And CBDCs are only the beginning. What's coming next is far worse. Total surveillance. Yes, that's where this is going. They will start with small things and move on to taking control over more and more freedoms. Look at China. China's use of CBDCs provides a glimpse into the potential future of financial surveillance. The Chinese government has already implemented a digital currency called the digital yuan, and it is currently being trialed in various cities across the country. The digital yuan is designed to replace physical cash and traditional bank deposits, and it, just like I said, enables the government to track all financial operations made within the country. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. In China, the use of the digital yuan is linked to the government's social credit system, which assigns citizens a score based on their behavior. It is used to reward good behavior and punish bad behavior, and it has been criticized for its potential to erode individual freedoms. The government not only sees how people spend their money, but they also adjust social score based on these purchases and buying capabilities of people based on their social score. But if you thought that was crazy, hear this. In China, public toilets are equipped with face scanners that give out a standardized amount of toilet paper only after face recognition. The Chinese government now even controls how people wipe themselves. The CBDCs in China, the complete control and surveillance attached to it, to me seem eerily similar to the dystopian world depicted in George Orwell's 1984. In the novel, the government maintains its power by controlling every aspect of citizens' lives, including their access to money, and every time I read the news, I start seeing more and more similarities between the world we live in and a dystopian fantasy written to show people what could happen. I wish Orwell knew that his novel will be used as a guide for little people with huge egos and desire for world dominance. What Iman says in his latest videos is already happening. It's already here, and it's only a matter of time when these innovations find their way into your life. CBDCs are, again, only the first step, the first innovation that with time will lead to people losing their freedoms to greedy little men, a small fraction of society who think they own everything. The use of CBDCs in the US and other countries could lead to similar outcomes to what happens in China. The government will use CBDCs to monitor and control the financials of their citizens, and those who engage in behavior deemed undesirable by the state could face serious consequences. This could include restrictions on access to essential services, higher taxes, or even imprisonment. The future that lies ahead, if CBDCs and total surveillance are allowed to continue unchecked, is indeed a dark and grim place. If you were frightened by the Black Mirror series, then you should be even more frightened about the future that awaits us. In a world where social scores are the norm, conform, the pressure to conform and please others would be immense. People would be incentivized to be fake and superficial, trading freedoms and authenticity for good scores. Those with low scores would be shunned and excluded from society, becoming the new underclass. The idea of such life is truly terrifying, but it isn't that far-fetched, which China shows us directly. What can also raise some concerns is the rapid AI development and embracing by the governments. It may sound like a long shot, but AI is already taking jobs, and there could be a day when this power of infinite knowledge could become usurped by people who are now trying to claim the world. The AI trained by such people with access to mass surveillance and digital identities could lead to total loss of free will. Something similar has been shown in Westworld, where AI determined people's fate and life by analyzing the data and making predictions. But if you thought China is the only one, it's not. In Singapore, the government has implemented a digital identity system which allows people to access government services but also collects data on their internet activity. That's your right to secrecy out the window. This similar system is also implemented in India, but that mostly focuses on biometric data of people that undermines the overall value of your existence by turning people into biological machines, basically. And don't think that the US government hasn't got its hands dirty. The Patriot Act from 2001 allows the government to conduct surveillance on financial transactions. The government already can access your shopping cart. In a world where every financial transaction is tracked and used to determine one's social standing, individual freedom will become a thing of the past. The potential for abuse of power and oppression of dissenting voices is immense, and it's a path that we should avoid at all costs. But we haven't lost this battle yet. We still have a chance and hope. We must fight back in any way we can, starting with ourselves. I think there are a few things you can do that Iman didn't tell you to at least try and protect yourself and your loved ones from the future that may come. These are my personal thoughts and not financial advice, so treat them accordingly. The first step towards reclaiming our freedom is to take control of our finances. It's important to stop relying on banks or other financial institutions that control the money streams as much as possible. Investing in tangible assets like gold or silver, which cannot be tracked or confiscated by the government, is also a good way to keep your wealth always available yet hidden. It may sound counterintuitive, but it's also important to stop chasing money. Money can be controlled and influenced, but you cannot. You must become your most valuable asset, your sharpest tool. Your personal skill and value are the things that will allow you to always land on your feet. If you develop yourself and grow, become more versatile and skilled in many areas, it will be easier for you to survive in whatever turmoil the government puts you through. Even if they start controlling money that way, you will still be able to not be the silent majority. You will have more resilience to fight and hold your grounds, and that's the best shield and weapon you need: knowledge. So just educate yourself. Another thing you should consider is starting a business of sorts that will allow you to receive passive income. I have extensively covered this topic in my previous video, so check it out for more info. But essentially, if you can make money while not working, that's what you have to focus on, because in the future where governments control money, they control you, they control where you work and if you work at all. So creating a private business will at least give you more room, more flexibility and independence, because if the government decides to impose a negative interest rate and force people to spend more, they will do it at your business. But financial independence alone is not enough. The society must also seek to break the chains of social control. We must not allow the system to dictate your values or beliefs. We must seek out alternative sources of information and question everything. And finally, we must also seek physical independence. It may be a good decision to buy a piece of land somewhere remote, like in a forest or a desert, where surveillance won't be able to reach. Of course, this is a very drastic action that should be considered carefully, but if the hell breaks loose, having a remote place can make a difference. Learning to be self-sustainable is also important because, as Iman tells you and evidence shows, they control the food, and you definitely don't want to lose the access to food if the worst scenario happens. Of course, this is an extreme solution which I'm not encouraging you to do, but at least living slightly further from the city centers, maybe in the suburbs or a small city nearby, can at least partially make you less subjected to surveillance while still given options to live a more sustainable life. But the most important thing you can do is educate yourself. Learning new things about this world, how things work, learning the truth will always win. And I agree with Iman on this, we must be the truth that wins.